Hello, you amazing, beautiful people who are tuning in to Leading Our Own Week every week. And if you're new, welcome. We've got a lot of guests we've done so far, so please go check them all out. I'm sure they'll find someone to choose to listen to. They're all incredible. Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. I'm Andrew White, I'm the host, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to you, somebody truly extraordinary, Miss Claire Woodley. Absolutely incredible. Now, you might recognise the surname Woodley from Australian music history. Claire comes from incredible musical DNA, with her father Bruce Woodley being part of the Seekers and a co-writing the iconic I Am Australian. That's pretty much all over the schools here as well. I can't believe I'm interviewing her. She's absolutely incredible. But today's conversation isn't about living in anyone's shadow at all. It's about Claire's own remarkable journey of stepping into her light as a psychic medium, self-love coach and spiritual leader. In this first part of two, we dive deep into Claire's path of self-discovery, exploring her cultural roots, the healing power of light language, very interesting stuff, and her profound work with inner child healing. Claire shares with raw honesty about family dynamics, overcoming adversity, and the spiritual practices that transformed her relationship with herself. Whether you're, on your own healing journey or simply curious about the connection between spirituality, can't say that word, struggle with it, and self-love, though Claire's wisdom, and you'll see it, will touch your heart and maybe even shift your perspective. So, as us English like to say, grab a cuppa, get comfortable, and let's explore what it truly means to lead our own way, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Before we do get into the trailer with Claire, though, please follow the show. Please press follow on any platform that you're on, and please give us a bit of a review as well. A 5-star, preferably if you can. Really, really helps us keep reaching more people and keeps spreading and sharing the journey of this amazing podcast, Leading Our Own Way. Thanks for joining us. Here's Claire and myself. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Claire Woodley, welcome to Leading Our Own Way. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. I am amazing. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
I'm all the better for finally getting you on. We've been talking for about 8 months now.
Yeah, I know. Has to be the right timing, didn't it, for us, I think. So, yeah, today's the day, and it's really, really nice to be here. Really
Excellent.
Really
it's such an honour to share your journey, and it's a powerful journey you've been on your whole life. Before we get started and how we dig deep into how you're leading your own way, if you could sum up the topics and your part of your journey, if you could put it into that, that typical newspaper article title. If you were the editor, what title would you decide, or what powerful sentence would you put it into?
Young woman grows through her life, looking back and understanding that loving the self is the only way to become the adult woman that she wants to finally become, and to find that peace within. So I guess if I could possibly reword that, being an editor, I may have taken a little bit more time.
Of course.
But
yeah.
Loving the self has possibly been my greatest journey in this life, and learning how to do that and what that actually means, and the complexities of it has been quite possibly my life purpose, my life's journey, and still to this day. So yeah.
Beautiful. It's nice to sum it up there at the beginning, because it kind of, and we're going to dig in quite deep into the root of everything you've just mentioned there, so it will become clear to our viewers. But I think we should start off. We normally start off with how my guest is leading their own way, hence the title of the podcast. But I think you should share who you've been a part of this unbelievable cultural influence as part of Australia. And I think to tell people, I think that's a good point to start before we jumped into your journey, because it's such a beautiful way. And when you told me, I've shared it with many of my children who I teach, and it's they're always listening to it in the assemblies or things like that here in Australia. So for those who, I have a lot of viewers in the United States and in England and the United Kingdom as well. So it might be a learning opportunity for them too. So if we could go there, that would be amazing.
Of course, and why not? It's a song that Andrew's talking about, everyone. It's called I Am Australian, and it was written by my father, Bruce Woodley, in 1987. It's an anthem. It's really known as our Australia's pseudo-national anthem now. And you're right, and like when you're saying about your children, most kids in this country know that song, or at least the chorus of it. It has 5 verses, actually.
Wow.
Some of those verses were written by a gentleman called Dobe Newton, who's from a band called the Bushwhackers in Australia. And so some of the verses were co-written, but the majority of the song was written by Dad. And it was written as a patriotic song at a time when he felt it was needed. Dad's a former member, a member still, I guess, of a famous Australian band called the Seekers. They were a singing group, essentially, so 3 men, and a woman, Judith Durham, who's now passed, Athol Guy, Keith Potter, and my father, Bruce Woodley. And they were very, very famous in Australia in the 1960s. And then they went on a boat over to England, and they were almost an overnight success over there. It was, playing alongside the Beatles and bands like that, and writing music with Paul Simon and lots of other wonderful songwriters and co-writers for their shows. And they had a huge, huge success, especially when they came back to Australia after being in England, and they were welcomed in Melbourne by I think it was almost 1 in 3 people in Melbourne at the time were at the Myer Music Bowl. I think it still holds the record for the most amount of people ever at a concert in the Southern Hemisphere. It was like, I think 200,000 people were there. So that's twice the MCG on grand final day. How cool that would have been to be there.
Where would they have held that?
Pardon me?
Where would they have held that?
They held it at the Myer Music Bowl in the city of Melbourne, yeah. Which is just the same as it was back then. So it was just people spread out everywhere. There weren't any gates and stuff there. So
incredible.
Yeah. So he wrote that song in 1987, and a few years sort of after that, an album of songs too, which I feature on. So if you want to have a listen to the song I'm Australian, you can find it on Spotify, as well as the album. And there's some beautiful, beautiful songs that are on that album.
Well, I'll try and I'll put the links on in the show notes so anyone can go and access it. That's amazing. It's beautiful. Did he know that song was going to be as big as it is, and still, probably would never have thought people are still going to listen to it in 2025?
Yeah, I know. Look, I don't really know if he knew that, but he did feel as though someone was guiding his hand when he wrote the lyrics. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian. So the words I am, you are, we are so powerful, and the children love it. They call it the I am, you are, we are song, and it's very inclusive, and it's beautiful, and empowers people, brings people together as one. Gorgeous.
Well, I was part of opening a bit of a farm school 5 years ago, and it was that type of school where we did a lot of lessons outside. We had a lot, obviously, of wood and land, 300 acres, and it was that that typical cultural back. We had a lot of fires going on when we burned and did the things. It was very beautiful, and we actually played that song quite a lot. And little did I know at the time, in a few years I'll be interviewing you.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
Life always brings interesting surprises, doesn't it?
It
Sounds
does.
great, that outdoor school, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful journey. With you, though, and we want to dive into your journey, and we're going to begin with leading our own way and how you're leading your own way. And we started, I brought that up because that does come into your journey partly with some of the musical background that you have. So that's a nice little starting point. But let's start with how you're leading your own way today, Claire.
Thanks, Andy. So I currently work as a psychic medium, a psychic energy healer. I also call myself a self-love coach. Energy healing is has many different interpretations. My particular way of calling it is we create our own reality. I call it feeling to heal. I'll talk a bit about that later. I also am a past life regression hypnotist, which is called quantum healing hypnosis technique. I also use spirit to help me, but it's a very powerful tool. I also host retreats, and I'm a qualified sound therapist, and I also speak what's called light language, which is it's very hard to describe. It is not from this planet, shall we say? Mm-hmm. It comes from the universe. The soul understands it's very healing, and the cells react to it, and it's very soothing and healing for people.
Could you give us an example? Because sometimes I feel like my cells are struggling at the moment. I need to sort something out. But so if somebody was wondering what that was and how it could benefit them, could you give us an example of how where would even begin with that?
Well, the soul, if I was in a session with somebody and I wanted to help them heal an issue that may not be working so well energetically because the ego might be so strong on a certain topic that I just can't get through, or they can't get through, more like it, because I help people heal themselves. I don't profess to be a healer. A lot of people, I teach people how to heal themselves, even though I am able to intuit, say, for example, the priority in that session with them, because the body can only really release so much in 1 hour. It takes a lifetime to develop our personalities and our idiosyncrasies and all the complexities about our personalities and the problems and issues we have, and our limiting beliefs especially. So you can only let go of a certain bit. But light language is not to be interpreted, it's to be felt, okay? So it's a bit like listening to a beautiful song sometimes, or the sound of whales perhaps is a similar kind of thing you could possibly liken it to. Yeah. But there's a lot of people around the world who use light language specifically to heal people. And I do find that when I do speak it, it sounds, from my perspective, very tribal, actually, almost like I'm speaking another language. But you could call it like children speak it. They call it gibberish, But they're actually tapping in to their soul. So yeah, that's how I would describe it. But you wanting me to speak a little bit for you of it?
If you want to, absolutely.
It's comes in through the frequency of through my crown chakra, in through from source, God, creator, whatever anybody wants to call that. It really doesn't matter to me. It is the light, basically, and it comes through and it channels through my heart and then back out through my mouth, and it's full of shall we say healing codes, and it activates the DNA. So for example, if someone was experiencing, let's say, a bit of, I would do let's say a collective, a little bit of light language for the collective, say, let's just say feeling overwhelmed, Because a lot going on the planet, isn't there, at the moment?
Yeah.
And a lot
Everyone's
of people
overwhelmed.
feeling really freaked out and don't know what to make
Yeah.
of everything. And they're just a bit, I'm feeling this coming in from my guides now as what they would want me to do. So I would ask my client to look at me if they want, close their eyes if they want, but I would start and speaking aratiarakur kanachiaraka iramakanyatana kora tanshiraka pirokor tanayera karia esana roda nishanaye ketana wo tanaki irakarashanagika o konata ai arashano koyasha. Goes a little bit like that, but it can go on for much longer than that. So the hand signs that I'm making, I'm intuiting that, and it's almost like I'm working with the light, if I can describe it as that.
Fascinating.
It is interesting, isn't it? It's a bit woo-woo.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating, and this is what the podcast is all about, to open up these journeys and share and teach, right? And it's like my own little secret diary. You know, I've never come across anything like this, so it's fascinating to take it in, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of people around the world that do it, and it's all over YouTube. It's not all over YouTube, and some people are authentically doing it, and some people maybe just making it up. I don't know, but it's something that came in very, very naturally for me, and I didn't really expect it, and it sort of just came on, and I thought, okay, well, I might work with this. I don't use it all the time, but I do like using it.
Why didn't you expect it?
That's a good question, because I didn't expect it to develop as it did. I'd heard of light language, and at the time, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing a lot of sun gazing practice. I don't know whether the audience has ever heard of sun gazing as a spiritual practice in the mornings or in the evenings. It's very, very, very good for the body and to look into the sun as it's setting.
The sun does wonderful things for circadian rhythms, doesn't it? Let's face it.
Absolutely. And it does wonderful things for awakening this third eye here, which is connected to our pineal gland, which is this little walnut-sized gland in our brain.
Yeah.
Which is connected to helping with clairvoyance and connection to spirit and to source.
So, and you're a spiritual guide, aren't you? What do you do? Is that part of your profession now? Do you do that on a daily basis? And what can you share about your role in regards to that?
Yeah. So this all came in to my life in 2021, 20, during that time that we were all locked up, and I was always interested in spirituality and tarot and angels. I was always, interested in that, but not focused on it at all, really. And I was working as a nurse and sort of was petering out with that. I was sort of starting to just not want to do that work anymore. It was just I'd had enough, really. And I was studying a spiritual development class. I thought, I might take that. That just sort of came into my reality. I thought, why not? Let's have a go at that. And then I found a woman online called Dolores Cannon, who's now passed, but she was the founder and creator of this incredible method of hypnosis that she came across by chance. Her husband was also a clinical hypnotist, but he used to do things like helping people with, lose weight and stuff like that. She ended up working with him, and then they had a client, or what they call a subject, and she went into a hypnosis but went back to a past life, or something that seemed like a past life. And it was very, very interesting to Dolores, who was a truth, she was an amazing woman, who could just was able to, just so interested in things. She just had this amazing ability to ask questions, a bit like yourself, you're great doing that. So, very highly inquisitive. And so she would go, okay, well, how old are you? Like, where are you? Like, what can you see around you? Can you see, how do you visualize yourself? And this woman's saying, well, I'm wearing these sorts of clothes, and I'm a man. Oh, how old are you? I know you could say, yes, are these subjective questions, but over a period of 35 years, she wrote 40 books, and a lot of her books were focused on the ETs, the extraterrestrials. I call them non-terrestrials. For all of you out there, there is life apart from Earth.
I think there is. Like,
Yeah.
if we can be here, why can't there be anything else?
Exactly.
Just because it's not anywhere near us, it might be the same distance of another sun in another solar system, because I feel like that's the perfect distance from the sun that has all the right, I don't know, nutrients and conditions on a planet. I think there's another. We're going way off topic, but I do actually think there's another planet, something like 20 light years away, that's the same distance from its sun as we are, slightly bigger, and it's got the same things that we have, like water and land and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's true, so no one quote me on that. But anyone is welcome to comment and correct me.
Earth number 2, something like that. We've how could we be so arrogant, I suppose, to say that we're the only life out there? And there's been a lot of sightings of things.
I'd love to see it. I am the sort of guy that has to see it to believe it. If you know what I mean. I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. I did have an experience one coming up at the country road near here, and as you know, I live near the Great Ocean Road. I was coming home from basketball from Melbourne, and I was going through the country roads just to get through to my estate, because I live on a typical estate on now it used to be an old field. And these green lights surrounded my car as I'm driving.
Kidding.
I'm not kidding. Now, it could have been the farmer harvesting around midnight on the side of the road. But I swear to you, these green lights came on both sides, not in front of me, just the side, and then behind me. I pressed the brake so I could look in the mirror to light up the road behind me. Nothing was seen. And there is a train line over the distance, but these green lights were huge. I swear to you, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. Even now, I'm just getting goosebumps. I came running in, ran into my partner, woke her up, and was like going crazy. And she was like, "You're going insane." I probably was, but I swear to you, it happened. Swear to you, it happened. But I'm not saying it was them.
I believe you. I do. You trust me. I know. I
know.
I don't know, but I feel.
Yeah.
That they're most certainly. Yeah. Look, I've done a lot of hypnosis sessions where people have gone back into let's say non-terrestrial life, and they're like saying I'm on a ship. And I'll ask them to see their hands, and their bodies are not at all human.
Wow.
But their emotions and feelings most certainly are, and they have beautiful hearts, and their soul is the same, but they're just in a different
life form,
body. Yeah.
And were they able to go deeper and explain where they were in terms of, like you just said, ship? I'm picturing ship, the waters at the side. What were they explaining?
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I should be more specific. A spaceship. Yeah, I had one client have. This is incredible, actually. She was very emotional. Okay, so this person is in a theta brainwave state on my couch, and has been inducted into this very relaxing state of consciousness, and it goes back in time and space, and then the person comes off what we call the cloud and back down into this reality where their subconscious takes them, or their what we call the higher self. And the higher self is connected to all that is. So It's super intelligent and wants to give the person information to help them with their life now. It's not just some random fun little trip off into the universe or into the back in time. It's to help the person now understand their life and their questions about life. They may have health issues, relationship problems, understanding who they are, what their life purpose is. A lot of people have this issue.
Yeah.
People are lost. A lot of people are very lost and needing to find out lots of stuff. And this is a great way of doing it. And it's really cool as well and fun. But yeah, this woman, she was back on a beautiful starship. She was able to describe it to me. She could see out the windows. She was very emotional being back with her, what she called her family, her SAR family. And I said, so what are you doing on this day? Because they'll be shown an important day first up. And she said, oh, I'm preparing to go somewhere. And I said, okay. And she said, there's a lot of preparation for this trip, shall we say. And I went, oh, okay, what trip? She goes, I think I'm preparing to incarnate onto Earth. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. It's very interesting. So how are you being prepared to come to Earth? I thought this is really fascinating. And she said, well, I'm being exposed to different senses to see how I cope. And I said, all right, well, what's one of the first ones? And she said the sense of touch. And she had her foot she said she was almost like in this bell jar and her foot was on grass. And I said, well, how does that feel to you? She goes, I don't like it. It's very dense here on Earth. It's very heavy. The energy, it's I'm not used to it. I'm not ready yet. They said I'm not ready. And then she was then exposed to the sense of hearing, because they're telepathic. They were telepathic, these beings. So, yeah, that was a fascinating one amongst others. So that was a galactic one, I call them.
So did she? Sorry to interrupt there, but did she come? Did they what's that word? Incarnate her into Earth or not?
Well, she's here now.
But yeah, but I thought it was a past life though.
Yeah, but yes, it was. So the answer is yes. Towards the end, she said, I'm ready. And I said, is this is this the life you had before coming here? And she said, yes, it was.
So she would have. So she didn't come here on the previous life, or because how I took that was that they were bringing her and incarnating her into a human life form. Or would they have just died and then transitioned into a new life form and then born as a human? And
correct.
Right,
yes.
got you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, fascinating.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much more that I probably can't remember, because these sessions go for 2 hours. They're underneath in hypnosis for sometimes up to 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So yeah, and that's recorded and they can listen back to it. It's really.
Do I have to be with you, or could you do that live? Because maybe we should do a live episode of that one day. Oh.
I do it. I absolutely can do it via Zoom. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be fascinating.
I use a combination of QHHT beyond quantum healing, which is another modality that I've studied, and also my own intuitive abilities in taking you into where you need to go. It's interesting. A lot of clients that I've had lately aren't going back to previous lives. They're just going straight back to source for a little while and getting it and having. This has just been a pattern I've noticed. People are getting being healed, like literally having beautiful healings, and then sometimes going back into this life seems to be very important at the moment in where our Earth is. If people aren't aware of, there's an ascension going on at the moment. This is a really, really. This is probably in this time on where we've incarnated, this lifetime, this time on Earth is the most most important, most pivotal moment in, I think, around 26,000 years, because Earth is ascending into a new version of herself. So that's something for your viewers to have a research on about the Ascension.
What's the new version of her then, of Earth, do you think?
According to a lot of metaphysical teachers and spiritual teachers and sages out there, and people like Dolores Cannon, the Earth is actually incarnating into a new version of herself, if that makes sense. It's really wild sort of a thought, but that's why there's so much, and we are coming out of the age of, what was it? Oh gosh, I'm getting confused of what it was. We're coming into, let me just skip to what we were, into the age of Aquarius now. That's already begun, which is basically coming out of service to self, which is where we've been on our planet for far too long. And most people would possibly agree. As a collective, we're talking about in countries, governments, all of this, into service to others. It's a completely different change of energy. And it's happening slowly but surely. But there's a lot of chaos on the planet at the moment. And that's because before a major change like this, there is, like before, shall we say, a new birth, there's pain and a lot of, movement. And you can see that in what's going on across the planet at the moment.
Yeah, you can, absolutely.
Awakening, we call it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. What was that shift 26,000 years ago?
Oh, please don't quote me on that. I don't
okay.
know, but I know that was another major shift in consciousness in humanity.
It'd be fascinating to be alive, wouldn't it? 26,000 years ago. Oh my Lord. Even 100,000 years ago. I spoke about the culture, I spoke about humans today of 100,000 years ago to the children. We were talking about the emotions and the survival emotions and, how anger and fear saved us all those years ago. And now we're trying to, put anger into a dangerous area, and we shouldn't be angry. Well, it's okay to be angry. It's just we shouldn't respond in a negative way to anger. And that's the dangerous part.
Yeah.
We went deep today in some relationship emotional lessons. So it was good. I love diving in. I kind of went off the lesson plan. Don't tell anyone.
Good on you.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Kids loved it.
We're just going back to the basics. We've labelled something like, I don't know, 50 different emotions, but you go back to, you go back to just the basics. There's somewhat 8 or 9 survival emotions, and it's that simple. Your fear, your anger, your sadness, your disgust, your shame, your embarrassment, enjoyment, love, trust, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I love
talking about the emotions. Like Dolores Cannon and her daughter, who's also an author and a teacher, Julia Cannon, my teachers too. They said they're all teaching emotions. Teach you. There's such beauty in sadness that there's so much. That anyway.
No, it's fascinating. I love it. Oh yeah, we went deep. So for you then, you have I remember us on the pre-chat saying you have a range of qualifications. What qualifications do you have in your life? Then I remember it's asked me here to ask you about your qualifications, so I wanted to know.
Okay. Well, I'm a qualified technophobe.
Love it.
Just get that joke out of the way. I used to be a registered nurse.
Yes. I know we're going to dig into that, aren't we?
Years, almost. Not that well. I was a personal carer before that, but trained in nursing when I was 30. My qualifications in my other areas of say employment. I was never trained as a singer. I was self-taught. So I was a professional singer and performer, trained as an actor and a little bit of dancing after my high school. But yeah, singing was self-taught, and then I became professional very young, actually, and started working doing that. And now, as I've after my nursing, as I said, I've gone into what I call the healing arts. I'm a qualified, a certified in sound healing. I'm a Reiki master. I don't really like that term, master, but I do Reiki, distance Reiki, and in person. I'm a certified sound healer as well, and I'm qualified in QHHT and BQH.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on to your singing at such a young age, a professional singer in such a young age. But on the topic of still leading your own way, when you were singing, you performed in some big events. I remember.
Yeah.
I think you should share with us, because there's a couple of arenas here that are world famous. That you did it in.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I was lucky because I was working doing corporate, cultural, and sporting events with the song "I'm Australian" with my father. So we were quite lucky to get some really high profile corporate clients. Like the AFL in here in Australia, and the big corporations, and they were back in the 90s. They had a ton of money, and they were spending a lot on these big events and things like that. And they had, the gigs would just come a lot. But I did it. Was lucky to work with the Melbourne Storm. Rugby team, and I was doing a bit of arena singing with the national anthem and things like that at Etihad Stadium, at the MCG,
Melbourne Cricket Ground.
I think I opened the stadium up in Brisbane. I can't remember actually the name of it, but for the Brisbane Broncos, and when they started, so I sang the national anthem and "I'm Australian" up there as well, and yeah, I was lucky to
Amazing. To sing in the MCG is huge, because MCG holds 110,000 people.
Yeah,
incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a really beautiful tribute to after the the bushfires here in Victoria. So it was a tribute to all of the firefighters. Yeah.
Wow. Did you sing at the Rod Laver? Rod Laver's a pretty famous arena here, the famous tennis player Rod. Did you perform there as well?
Yes, actually, up with Dad for the bushfire relief ceremony, it was called. Yeah. So Dad and I and two actual survivors of the fires up in King Lake, and Dad actually wrote an extra verse of a new verse. So of "I'm Australian" for that particular performance. So there was a lot of dignitaries there and VIPs, and but it was beautiful because it was very comforting for people who it was a very traumatic time for Victorians. So it really heals people's hearts. That song, really, they all got up and sang.
Oh, beautiful! That would have been amazing to see, and it must have been so special to be a part of as well.
Yeah, it was. It was beautiful. I was a bit nervous, but
of course,
nerves are always a bit good when you go on stage. You always tend to sing better.
I'd probably poo myself if
actually,
I had
sung in on that stage as well when I was in a band, an ABBA cover band called Baba. I was in that band for a while too.
Baba.
That was I think after, I don't know, but after that, but so yeah.
So speaking of professional singing, you mentioned it a few minutes ago that you started at such a young age. How old were you?
Yeah, well, my father was writing jingles for commercials and for television and radio when I was young, and he'd often met a group of kids or a little choir or something to sing the ad. We used to call them ads back then, jingles. But he recognised that I had a voice when I was maybe 13 or something like that. So he gave me a tape recorder. So we didn't have, iPods and phones and stuff like that, obviously. But I had a tape deck, a little tape thing, headphones, and he'd give me all my favourite singers, and I would basically just sing all day, every day, and taught myself. I just basically copied them. So I'd be like, I'd go, oh, okay. So Michael Jackson is going, beat it, just beat it. And I'd press stop, and then I'd, go, okay, I got to do it just like that. And I'd go back and back and back and back and practice until I got it right.
Amazing.
That's how I taught myself to sing. And yeah, and then by the time I was, 18, I was recording his demos that he would send off to America and things like that to try and get, on artists to pick up or record companies and things like that. And I had my own albums and things too. I was working for lots of different songwriters and as a demo session vocalist.
Yeah.
And then got into the band scene and the jazz scene and working all over the place.
So what period? So was that your form of income for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, it was like I was singing every weekend pretty much throughout my 20s.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. And during the week I was working, doing looking after elderly people in their homes.
Oh, beautiful.
So from a very early age I was working with people as a carer, and on the weekends I was working with people, giving them, through
Love
free
and support. Yeah. But going back to your earlier childhood, did you realise, because your father, Bruce, he was in a very, very well-known band, as you mentioned. Did you know, when you were a little one, was he big then? Was he already big when you were a baby, when you were young, or did that come afterwards? Because I'm just trying to get the timelines right in my own head.
Good question. No, I had no idea that my dad was, anything but, someone who may have been famous, but the band had already disbanded before I was born.
Right.
Yeah, they got back together again actually when I was around 18, something like that. 17, but yeah.
So you growing up at primary school and high school then, was he a famous person and you just didn't care because you're the daughter?
My parents knew that he was, but certainly he was just like dad to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what was family life like for you then? If he was a famous guy, I'm assuming you're not just living in a normal house. Was it a wealthy family? What was that background like for you?
Yeah. Yes, we certainly, didn't want for anything. We weren't like, wasn't like over the top.
Yeah.
But we certainly, had overseas holidays. We lived a very, comfortable childhood. My childhood was actually pretty good. Like we went on over. Yeah, it was pretty nice, really. Just the interpersonal relationships were a bit strange at times.
What do you mean?
I have a brother. Well, my relationship with my brother was always not very close. I don't know why that is, but it just was that way. And as well with my mum. Not that I just wasn't very close. We just didn't have that close bond, I guess.
And are you close to your dad?
I would say so. More so. Yes, most definitely. Very much. He just lives around the corner from me.
Oh, nice. You see him often?
Yeah, I see him a lot. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know much about your mum. Is your mum with your dad still, or?
No. They divorced when I was 14, and I my brother and I moved with moved in with mum, and it was a kind of a funny time of my life. As it, would be for any teenager having their parents divorce. It wasn't something I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that affect you, being a young person?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It was a big change in direction for me. I felt like my world had the floor had parted. Like I don't know, where am I? What's going on? I can't believe this is happening. I just remember feeling a lot of empathy. I've always been that sort of a person, just feeling a lot of just a lot of emotion, a lot of empathy for both sides, mum and dad, but just not really knowing, you know, where me and my emotions sort of fit into it all too. I think
Did you
I
go the
had
dad way?
depression at the time.
Sorry, say that. Sorry, I cut
I
you off.
think I
Say
may
that.
have fallen into a bit of a depression at one point, not knowing if I look back and think about it. Yeah.
If you were a fly on the wall looking at the younger Claire? How would that have depression looked like? Because I know the 14-year-old probably wouldn't have recognised that as depression, but you being you
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
what would
Just
that
so
look like?
because back then we didn't
No.
have much to distract us. You know, we had to sit with ourselves a lot. So I just remember feeling really lonely and and just wanting to just be anywhere but, where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything to escape it? Did you go down a certain path that you shouldn't have done? Not shouldn't have done, but
Mm. I think I was quite sort of self-destructive at school, and I certainly wasn't getting along with my mother at all, and fighting a lot with my brother. And then when my those years went quite quickly, and then and when I turned 16, my mother was developed cancer, and that was a breast cancer, and she had to have treatment for that, radiation therapy and a lumpectomy. And thank God she got over it. But I was not, and she wasn't coping with having me in the house. So for whatever reason that was, there was too much stress going on, so I had to move out. So I went and lived with my auntie and my cousins. It's strange, isn't it? But I don't know why that happened. But she just couldn't look after me as well as my brother.
did the brother stay? Did your brother stay?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And why didn't you go with your dad?
I've often thought that. I've had to do a lot of work actually on that, a lot of inner work and therapy on why that wasn't the case, but he was just not able to look after me either at the time. So I've forgiven and moved on from that. Yeah, he just wasn't. It is an interesting question, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
it
why
just
would you like to go with your dad? Like, can you imagine now? Like, I sort of felt like something was wrong with me. Like
yeah.
no one loves me, kind of a vibe.
It,
Um,
to feel that at 16 and to have absolutely, I'm struggling to comprehend why.
I
Why?
know.
Yeah,
I know. Like people think, oh God, parents are cruel, but we can't put ourselves in their shoes at that time. But you know what? I wasn't sad. I wasn't sad at that time because I then got a boyfriend for the first time.
yeah. You're distracted.
I was really quite happy. I was like, oh beauty, I'm out of that environment where I really felt, and now I look back, like God was looking after me because I was out of that stressful situation. I had a really nice boyfriend who treated me really nicely, and I did okay, finished high school and
Yeah.
passed. So I guess it was meant to be.
So how much down the track did you? Because you just mentioned you sought help regarding that decision. How old were you when you went to
Mm.
look into that?
Well, I think it was a number of things, and eventually when I started to get work on myself, because I became extremely, I guess, I always had at the core of me this deep self-loathing, and it's hard for me to pinpoint where that actually comes from. But when I was 20, I became, I don't even know the word became. Isn't the right word. I developed or began the habit of bulimia,
Mm.
which is a terrible disease. Actually, it can cause your cells to change. It was accompanied with anxiety. It's actually really a what's the word I'm trying to think of, a way of dealing with anxiety, but at its core, as you like to talk about, that deep self-loathing. where that comes from, probably way back in my childhood. And I won't go through all the details, but I was not abused or anything like that. But there was a lack of connection there with my mother, and my brother. And maybe to some extent my father wasn't so close to, wasn't around that much, but he was very loving, so I don't want to put it there. But so it became something that I hid for a very long time, and my heart goes out to all those people who have suffered from it, because it is something that you hide, and it's very compulsive, and it becomes habitual, and you don't feel like you're ever going to be able to stop. And it's also about a fear of being overweight as well.
The body speaks to us in many different ways, especially when we're down. And I think you're right. I think connecting to things from the past, the childhood, the stress, the chronic stress that's built up over the years. You've mentioned you went through periods of depression as well.
Yes.
Was periods of depression through... But from a young child, or was it just teenage years leading up to the point when you started with the bulimia? What an incredible first half of our conversation with Claire Woodley. Her insights into self-love, spiritual healing, and the power of understanding our inner child are truly, truly transformative. If Claire's story is resonating with you in any sort of way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below or reach out on social media at Leading Our Own Way across all platforms. And if this episode has sparked something within you, please share it with somebody who might need to hear Claire's message today. Don't forget to hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, give us a 5-star review, and it really helps other beautiful humans discover these conversations that can really, really change lives. Part 2 is coming your way soon. If you're tuning in after Wednesday, it's already there. Just go and find it. I always do 2 parts. And in Part 2, where Claire really opens up about even more of a journey with emotional healing, overcoming bulimia, and the profound connection between our mental and physical health. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So until then, keep leading your own way. And remember, your healing journey starts and matters right here. Cheers. Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.